Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Marketing. I'm absolutely delighted this week to have Nicola May with me, a slightly different guest to usual. Nicola, very famously the rom-com superstar, someone who's written 16 fantastic best-selling romantic comedy novels and had a lot of success through promoting those through social media, obviously with a great background in marketing before that as well. And we'll get into all of this, Nicola, in it. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And let's get going for this week. Hi, Nicola. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much.
Good. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. They're not all your books behind you, by the way, on the video there, are they?
Oh, it's a very clever wallpaper, actually. It makes me look like I'm very well read.
That's nice. That doesn't work for anyone who's listening on audio, but anyway, that's that's fantastic. So look, I'm really excited to have you here, Nicola. I'm a fellow author, but in a very different space to me. Obviously, you've had so much success with your romantic comedy novels, and I know you sort of started that out off your own back and really drove that hard across social media, and I believe managed to get yourself to #1 on Amazon, right?
I did, yes.
That's
So,
especially off your own back. So, I mean, tell me your story.
okay. So, I mean, I worked in corporate marketing for many years for big corporates, and I was actually in a job that wasn't that busy, and kind of thought, maybe I should write a book. I've got some time on my hands. And I kind of just started dabbling in writing a novel, and it kind of turned out I was quite funny and I could write. So I that's how I started writing, to be honest. And I was like, okay, I've got this marketing background. I'm quite sort of out there. I'm going to try and do my best. And to cut a long story short, I did try and go the traditional route. I did get a book deal for 7 books, thought it was the most amazing thing. And I was going to be, this was it, I was going to be rich. But people don't realize in the industry that publishers take 90% of your paperbacks and 75% of your ebooks. So I was like, whoa, I want to give up the day job. This is kind of my passion now. So I decided to self-publish. And actually, it was my 9th novel that I self-published, did all my marketing on, and got to #1. So I say that I wasn't dropped at the top of this mountain. It's been a hard slog. But
Yeah.
I think my corporate background in marketing has obviously really helped, because marketing is marketing, right? Whether it's consumer or business. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, that's interesting. It's like entrepreneurs, you know. It's you look at all the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, and normally the thing they've got famous for is not the first thing they ever did. It's normally the 5th, 10th, 15th project they've done. So that I mean, to be honest with you, you could write 100 novels and not get to #1 on Amazon. So #9 is a pretty big achievement. As you say, marketing is marketing. So yeah, it's a huge and complex area, and I'm sure many of our listeners will be working in very different disciplines within marketing. But 30 years in marketing before you went on to writing novels must have helped a lot. So when you were going out there to promote, and I have to say it's easy to self-publish a novel right now. It's never been easier to do that, but to actually sell them is a big challenge, right? There are a lot of novels out there that literally have no sales at all. So there's a big leap. It's much easier to sell when you've got a publisher behind you. When you're self-publishing, that's a big ask. So thinking about sort of what you learned from your 30 years in marketing that you sort of, I guess, applied to your promotion of your book to get it to go so well. Where did it go right, I suppose? What did you do that worked so well?
I think I've always had the reader, it's like the customer at heart, to be honest. Almost, I used to do event management, and I always just used to think, when I got a brief, okay, I'm walking into this venue, then I go and hang my coat up, then I go to what works for that person. And I guess that's what's worked with regards to finding people for my books as well. I arranged what's called a blog tour, and in the publishing world, that is, there's an agency that goes out to every single romance blogger and says, do you want to read Nicola May's book? And then they actually will put a review up for me on publication week. So it's actually being really specific in your market with regards to getting the targets that you want. And then they, of course, on social media have a big following, so they retweet and all the SEO stuff goes up. So then it's kind of, you only have to contact, say, 50 bloggers, and the outreach is absolutely huge. And I think with my book, The Corner Shop in Cockery Bay, that did get to #1, the blog tour was massive, and that was such a good starting point for me. And then also social media wise, obviously I'm on like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the usual suspects. I am very, very active. I have to say, since 2011, when I first put a book out there, every single day I've posted something, whether it be, oh, it's a rainy day today, or whether it be something to do with my book. I've been absolutely so persistent in that, and I found that that's key, because I haven't got a huge Twitter following really, or Facebook, but the people I have on it are really consistent fans. You see people with like these hundreds of thousands, and you kind of think, oh, are all of them readers? Probably not. And also reader engagement. I vow that every single person who contacts me, and I've sold now probably 750,000 books. I've got a lot of people who read me. Anyone who contacts me, I make a point of personally replying to them and helping people with regards to self-publishing. I don't charge or anything like that. I offer my time. And I think it's kind of a karma thing. I do give quite a lot.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think, yeah, the social media channels are certainly always hungry for content, and that's what, you know, the algorithms, you know, feed me. What's that? What movie am I referring to there?
I don't know.
If someone knows, I know someone listening will know exactly. Oh, I got it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So you're very, very hungry for content. So I think that continuous posting and feeding those algorithms with good regular content is great. Where have you seen that work? You say you're on sort of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc., all the usual places. Have you seen any channels drive more sales or drive more engagement than others?
I think Facebook probably, because Facebook have so many groups on them. I mean, especially in my industry, so there's 99p books, free books, Kindle books, all sorts of romance, thriller. So I tap into the groups. So again, although I may not have hundreds of thousands of followers, if you tap into these groups, then they're the audience that you want. And also hashtag is everybody's friend. And that's what I say, even if you've got 10 followers, I do random things like, say there's something on Strictly Come Dancing that might relate to one of my books. If Strictly's on, I do that hashtag, because you know that so many people are going to be seeing it. Valentine's Day, obviously. With me, it's kind of like Mother's Day. Even Halloween, I will put like a Halloween specific cover image up. I go kind of with what's going on in the now.
That's perfect. That's a great bit of advice, Nicola. And I think that it's something that I write about in my books, and those who follow me will know that I talk about a lot. It is what I call proactive and reactive planning, which you're doing just perfectly naturally. And it might be part of your marketing background. It might be part of your mindset. There isn't a word for coughing, is there? It's like bless you if you sneeze. There isn't one for coughing.
I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Sorry.
It's all right. There should be a word for that. Anyway, I'll let someone else deal with that. But yeah, I think that proactive and reactive planning piece is important. Reacting to what's trending right now, as you say, gets you right on the tip of what's happening. If you can find a way to be relevant on that, you're going to get a lot more than just churning out the usual hashtags. So if, you know, we work in manufacturing, so let's hashtag manufacturing, right? If there's something that's going on right now at the moment, like you say, Strictly's great, right? Strictly's a fantastic one. Anything with a real buzz, with a lot of people following it right in the moment, if you can hit that on, that's great. And proactive planning, because obviously, you know, Halloween's coming. So planning for that and what you're going to do for that is great. So yeah, that's really good advice. That's great. What do you find? Let's flip that on its head. There will be things, I'm sure, that haven't worked over the last few years for you as well. I mean, amongst all this amazing success, there's always something that doesn't go right. Can you tell us something that hasn't worked for you in your promotion?
Yeah, I mean, more recently, to be honest, and I think it's because, I mean, when I started out, I had zilch budget. So social media was my friend, because it doesn't really cost you anything unless you do a Facebook post. And then again, you can spend £10 over a weekend and get engagement. Recently, I've done a TikTok campaign. There's an author called Colleen Hoover who's literally just smashed TikTok. She's literally up the top of the charts with everything. And I thought, oh, I fancy a bit of that. I'll try with my new book, The Hub. I didn't spend fortunes. I spent 4 figures, and I ran an advert through it. But engagement wise, literally nothing. Not any new TikTok followers, no sales. It is looked at as an engagement platform. You would expect with that kind of budget and engagement. I mean, one of the the influencers were amazing. One of them got like 90,000 views of my book. But again, the button wasn't pressed. And I think maybe that was my fault, that my research wasn't good. It's a much younger audience, I believe, on TikTok. Yeah. I didn't specify that I wanted it to go out to an older audience. Or maybe it's just my product isn't as good as the others. The cover wasn't as great. I have changed. I'm going to try and find now one of my books. Hold on a sec. I've got one here. This is the new one, The Hub. Again, I'm such a PR. I use my phone covers.
Love
to
it.
promote my
Love it.
books. So I've always got a different one. This is quite just a standard, kind of basic cover. You wouldn't really know what it was. I'm just going to reach for my other book here. Hold on one sec.
Okay, yeah.
So this is Christmas in Cocklebury Bay. And all of my other covers have been quite twee. And I've done a Cocklebury Bay and I've done a Ferry Lane Market. And they've sold, in 15 countries now.
Mm.
So whether it was TikTok, it wasn't the right time, or if it's the fact I've changed my brand, which possibly this is it. This is probably why it hasn't done so well.
Mm.
And that's another thing. I think if things are working, and sometimes you're in that meeting and think, right, we need to mix this up. It's a new year. Don't necessarily change things if they've worked before.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, consistency in branding is hugely important. There are a lot of businesses that have gone through rebrand projects, and I've seen this a number of times, even with some very large brands, gone through a rebrand project and then reversed quite quickly back out of that rebrand project because as we as humans, and psychology plays such a part in marketing, as you know, right? That we trust things that are familiar to us because they make us feel safe. The environment we live in, where we know we can live in a house and the doors will be safe and no monsters can get in. It's all in our DNA from 100,000 years of evolution. So I think that familiarity and consistency within branding for me is so important. So being able to say, I recognize that book, that feels part of that connects with the other 5 I've got on the bookshelf. I get that. I know, I feel warm. I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of that book. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. It's hard to say that directly without looking at any numbers, but it's certainly possible that could be part of it. But I'd recommend certainly consistency within branding for authors, for anyone else. I mean, I actually have most of my books, as you know, are through my publisher. I have a self-published book myself, The Muffalump. This is a terrible version. It's a non-resale one, but children's book, The Muffalump. So I never promote that, but that's a bit of fun. So I know the challenge you're going through, and that's completely off-brand for me. I think I put my name on it in the ND I did, which I thought about not doing because it's so off-brand. But I understand that challenge. So that's a really good one. And TikTok is a bit of a different baby, certainly to Facebook. So I think I think it's important to acknowledge with TikTok that it's not just a young audience. And I think a lot of people think about TikTok and they go, okay, look, it's teenagers. I've got to appeal to the teenagers, and maybe if I'm not appealing to teenagers, it's not the right place. But I think that was true of TikTok. If you rewind maybe 3 years. These days, so many people are using it now for recipes and for fitness and for so many different things, and of course just pure entertainment. But it really does it hits pretty much every age group now. Certainly a long way beyond teenagers. But you do need to be careful on the influencers you're working with and the targeting, the advertising that you're running. Certainly, because getting a bunch of 12-year-olds to see your book is maybe setting yourself up for the next generation, but maybe not going to make yourself some sales in the short. That's really good. That's great advice. Awesome. So, how long does it? How do you measure success? I suppose. How do you look at a book and say that's gone well, or look at what you've done on social media and say, hey, that really worked?
I mean, this is the thing, because my book did so extremely well getting to #1 and the amount of copies it sold, because I'm very sort of motivated. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm finding it really hard now to judge what's doing well after having such a massive success, like a standout success. But I think it's if I'm earning enough that's a salary, basically. A decent amount of money. I mean, for me, because it is my living, it is monetary, but also I love to be in the top 20 of the Amazon rom-com chart. So if I can get there, to me, I'm really happy.
And who are you competing with? This isn't really a marketing question. I'm just interested. Are you still competing with the Jilly Coopers of this world and that sort of thing, or?
No, it's more Jill Mansell, Millie Johnson, Carol Matthews,
awesome.
Emily, Beth O'Leary, because that's kind of the style my new book's in. So those kind of ladies.
Interesting, yeah. And when you say the style of that your new book's in, were you sort of influenced by her when you looked at the style?
I mean, this was me thinking, okay, because I did take a traditional publishing deal with Hodder and Stoughton, and that was my last trilogy. I came out of there thinking, okay, I want to kind of reinvent Nicola May now. You've done your twee books. But to be honest, the hub is literally the same style of writing. I've just repackaged it differently because I saw, and I'm not going to lie, Beth O'Leary shooting up the charts, and I loved the minimalist style of her covers and everything. So yeah, that was the decision I took with that.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Good. Good. That's yeah, that's great. That's really good insight. Awesome. Okay. Tell us a little bit about the latest book. Give us, because you mentioned the name so fast, I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, so this is the thing, the hub. Basically, the hub was a collaborative working space that I was working in Ascot Racecourse because to be honest, rather than be at home writing, I like to be around other entrepreneurs. And so I was working within this space within Ascot Racecourse with all these great people, and I thought this will make a great book. Right. You've got all different people, all different companies. I've got so much room for romance and comedy. And so I set it down in rural Wiltshire.
Right.
So basically, yeah, it's about a crime author gets jilted at the altar, used to live in Wiltshire. She's come from fancy London, and now she starts a new life and starts working in the hub. And it's kind of the romance and relationships around it. But also I tend to pick a more serious topic for all of my books. And this one is actually men's mental health. And so she also, because she's split up from her boyfriend living in the country, she decides that she's going to volunteer for a crisis suicide line. And that's linked through it as well with the male love interest. So yeah, so there's the comedy of the hub, and then there's the seriousness of the male mental health through it.
That's really good. That's really good. I mean, that's a topic quite close to my heart, actually. So that's nice to hear. So yeah, I think I will be giving that a read. And I'm not saying that because we're talking on a podcast. I genuinely will give that a bit of a read. So that sounds fantastic. Okay, cool. Look, Nicola, thanks so much. There's some really useful tips in there for everyone today around brand consistency and the proactive and reactive planning and riding on the back of those trends to really drive you're bringing in a fresh audience to something that they may not otherwise find. I think that's a really fantastic bit of advice. Anything else? Any other sort of tips or advice you want to give before we close off?
No, but I think consistency, and always on social media have a call to action. Always put a link if you're selling something, because otherwise someone will look and think, "Oh, that's nice," but they won't press to buy it.
Thank you. Look, Nicola, that's a brilliant way to end off. The number of people I work with who on social produce beautiful content and then actually don't tell people to do what they want them to do. That's a really great tip to end on. So thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed that. That's really great insights from Nicola. He's a phenomenally best-selling author of some amazing work there from a marketing perspective. So some really good tips for you to pick up on. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Thanks, Nicola.
Thanks for having me.